Hi lovelies, I'm Ariel and this is Maven Unmasked and welcome to my I made an altar, now what do I do with it, how to work your altar video. So I hope you checked out my previous video about how to set up and create an altar space for those of you who wanted to know how to do that. This is the second video as part of that. So first off, I just want to start off by saying that your altar is a safe space. It's a sacred space. It should be honored. It should be respected. Okay. It's a place to heal. It's a place to be you. It's a place to let it all hang out. Seriously. I do have a few blog posts about my journey at my altar and how I dance at my altar and I come to my altar naked and I shake and things jiggle and things wiggle and it's okay. There's no judgment there. As someone who grew up in the Catholic Church and things were very, very structured, I love the freedom that comes with working your own altar space. At first, I was so intimidated because it was like, I set up this altar and it's pretty. I set it up and it's pretty. Now what the hell do I do with it? And I would just look at it and be so intimidated because I felt like there were specific things I was supposed to be doing. I was supposed to follow a particular structure, a particular ritual. I was putting so much pressure on myself that I was just like, I'm just staying away from it because it was too much. So it took a little while for me to learn that that's not the purpose of what creating an altar is for. Of course, if you follow a particular religion or tradition, I say honor those traditions and those religions in how you work with your sacred space or your altar. But for me, it was so freeing and important that I didn't have those rituals and learning to let that go and to just deal with what is. Some days I cry at my altar. Some days I sing. Some days I dance. Some days I just spin around in circles. Some days I just sit there and do nothing. So it's really up to you. I want to preempt this whole video by saying that if it doesn't feel right, don't do it. And if it feels good, go ahead. Again, it's about you and your journey. Of course, tune into your guides or any deities or ancestors you're working with, especially if it's an altar particularly related to them because you don't want to disrespect them or offend them at the altar. But in general, I say if it feels good, it's totally fine. Okay, your altar is non-judgmental, and that's another reason why I love the freedom of creating an altar aside from the structure of the church, not even just the Catholic church in general, structured religion in general. It's non-judgmental, it's freedom. There's no rules per se, again, unless you follow a particular religion or tradition. Okay, so it's a place of release, it's a place to heal, it's a place to be the authentic you. Almost like it should feel like coming home. It should feel like, I don't know, let's say you had a horrible disaster and it's like running home to mom and getting into mom's arms and just being comforted. That should be how you feel when you come to your altar space. It should be like home. It should be like mama. It should be like somebody giving you comfort and love and a hug. Of course, they can like knock you on the head and say, hey, like it's time to get on the ball, get it together, which they certainly will and certainly have. I can tell you that. But it's a safe space, safe and non-judgmental, full of love. Okay, so here are some things that you can do at your altar space. You can do chants. You can do mantras. Let's say you're working with Ganesh or Lakshmi or, you know, any deity that has a mantra associated with them. You can recite that at your altar, especially if your altar is created for them. Okay, affirmations, especially if you're doing any manifesting work, inner child work, healing work. Recite your affirmations at your altar, okay? You can say the rosary at your altar as well. I've done that. I've gotten out my mala beads as well at the altar, okay? It's a great place to focus and do those kinds of things and sit and reflect. You can dance at the altar, as I previously said, which I absolutely love to do. And again, don't feel that you have to play like spiritual music or instrumental music. You can, and I do sometimes, and that's great, but I'll play some 90s R&B. I'll play some, you know, some rock, some emo music, some pop music, Britney Spears, Beyonce, Stained, like anything that I'm feeling, what I'm feeling. you know, that's what I will bring to the altar. In terms of the music, EDM, like anything that makes me feel good. If I feel like dancing at the altar or whatever Pandora's got on currently in rotation, you know, I'm going to dance to it. Okay, you can sing at your altar. So, again, with the music or singing a song that just comes from your soul, which is something I've tried recently. I'm really not a singer, and I really, well, I'm not going to say that. It's not that I'm not a singer. I used to be in a whole bunch of choirs and things, but I'm just really uncomfortable singing in front of people. Public speaking, no problem. See, singing in front of people, no way. So I like to sing at my altar, but singing from the soul is if you're just feeling something and allowing the words to just pour out from your soul. And it's so beautiful when you allow yourself permission to do that, to look like an idiot, to feel weird. Okay, remember the altar is a non-judgmental space. Okay, pray at your altar, of course, to your angels, guides, ancestors, loved ones, spirit, deity, light beings, you know, whoever, whatever you subscribe to, the universe, etc. Okay, cry at your altar. You can fall down to your knees. Sometimes I've come to my altar and I just get this overwhelming feeling, and sometimes it's of love, sometimes it's just overwhelming of what I'm going through in my life, and I will just fall to my knees and cry at my altar. And it feels really good to be vulnerable in that way in front of my altar and not feel judged, and that it's okay. Okay, you can yell at your altar, releasing, again, crying and yelling, sadness and anger, happy tears, you know, if you just need to roar and let it out, it's okay to do that at your altar space. Okay, of course, make sure you cleanse your altar space if you're doing some heavy release work, and of course, make sure to cleanse your altar space regularly. I think I talked about that in my first video. If things feel like they need to shift, you know, a shift in energy, or it feels kind of funky, you know, tune in and see what needs to be done, removed, switched around, changed, cleansed, etc. Okay, you can laugh at your altar. I do have giggle fits at my altar at sometimes. And again, it's really important to open your heart and be vulnerable, because your altar space is for you. It's not for anybody else. Truly, it's about you and your connection to yourself and to spirit. That's it. And to deity or whoever it is that you're working with. So it's good to open your heart. It's good to be vulnerable. So they can see inside. They can see that pure heart. They can see whatever it is you're going through or trying to manifest, create whatever pain it is you're in, so they can offer their assistance. And of course, spirit cannot offer their assistance without your permission. So ask them, or not ask them, but tell them, say, yes, I'm giving you permission to intervene on my behalf in regards to A, B, C, D. Okay, you can burn incense at your altar. Again, if you have a healing altar, manifesting, you know, they have all different kinds of incense that you can use. Sometimes I just light it and I'll leave and just let the incense do its thing, and it's just so heavenly. You can meditate at your altar, of course. Highly recommended. You can sit in silence at your altar as well, which is also highly recommended, and just tune into the vibes and to the energy of your space, or to whoever it is that you're working with. You can do spiritual cleansing and healings at your altar space as well. Excuse me. You can visualize or go on a shamanic journey or a guided meditation at your altar space. And I think this is so important, especially if you're doing any healing or manifesting work. You want to make sure that you're visualizing these things. You want to make sure that you're, you know, going down to the lower world and bringing up whatever needs to be brought up to be healed, things of that nature. Okay, you can recite the Psalms at your altar, which is so powerful, especially if you do any kind of candle magic. So powerful, you guys. You can light candles at your altar, of course. Of course, if you light candles at your altar, again, please be sure that no fur babies, young children, you know, will be around to knock anything over, no curtains or anything that would catch fire. You can always set your candle in a bowl of water if that makes you feel more comfortable. Alrighty, you can journal at your altar, which I love this. You can get so many great insights, so much brainstorming, so many downloads happen at the altar space. So you may want to journal. Again, it's about releasing, it's about getting your thoughts together, it's about gaining clarity. You can also do channeling. Spirits like, talk about channeling. You can channel at your altar space, especially if you're working with a particular deity. Let's say you're working with Oshun. Go to your altar space to Oshun and sit and channel her energy. What is she trying to tell you? What does she want you to know? Is there a message that she has for you or for the collective? Okay. Alrighty, so that brings me to connect with your spirits, ancestors, guides, ascended masters, angels, deity, etc. at your altar space. Call in their energy, invite in their energy, see if you can feel when they come in, what their messages are. Tap into your clairs, your clairvoyance, your clairaudience, your clairsentience, your claircognizance. What are you picking up from them? Okay, you can make offerings at your altar. So pour libations for your ancestors. You can leave money at your altar. Honey, again, I think I spoke about this in my previous video. If you're leaving offerings for ancestors or a particular deity, make sure it's something that they like. If it's something that they don't like, you know, you don't want to offend them or disrespect them or the altar space, okay? Alrighty. You can brainstorm for anything for your business, for family vacations, like a class you're thinking about taking or writing, asking questions at the altar space, and listening for the answers, okay, at the altar space. All right, you can create at your altar. So let's say you like to create tarot spreads. Sit at the altar and create a tarot spread. You know, start writing your novel at your altar space and see if that makes a difference or inspires you in any kind of way. Share your dreams and goals with your altar space. You can write petitions and leave them on your altar, especially if they're to a particular deity. You can burn them. If you have a cauldron, you can burn your petition in your handy dandy cauldron here. Okay, if you have one, again, be safe, fire safety people. All right. You can do spell work or manifesting at your altar. So that's if you have what's called a working altar. So any of your workings, anything you're currently working on, spells, magic, candle magic, you know, whatever it is, ritual, whatever it is, you can do that at that particular altar space. Make sure the particular work that you're doing at your altar corresponds with the type of altar space it is. You don't want to have, let's say you have a seasonal altar and it's set up for winter time and you're trying to plan your summer vacation. You know, that doesn't make sense to me. You know, or you have an altar set up, I don't know, for, let's say you have an altar for money or something like that, bringing in more money, getting a new job, whatever it is. You don't want to do psychic ability work at that altar, okay? So use your best judgment. Again, use your own intuition for that. Okay, you can send Reiki or healing from your altar, especially if your altar is a healing altar or you have a healing grid. You can ask for healing or blessings at the altar for yourself, for your family, for any ritual tools that you may have. You may want to leave those at the altar and ask for them to be blessed. Okay, and most importantly, give thanks and gratitude at your altar space for all of the blessings that you have in your life, for the opportunities that you have and that are coming. You know, for your ability to be here incarnated on this planet at this time with the life that you have, the life that you're living, the life that you want, for the miracles that have already occurred for you and the ones that are going to occur in the future. Give thanks, show gratitude, be humble, show respect at the altar, honor it. Okay, it is a sacred space. There's a certain sanctity that goes with that, a certain reference that goes with that. You wouldn't go into your family church and like desecrate it, right? So it's the same kind of thing. So the last few things I wanted to say, again, you set up your altar, you've done some things. Is it time to spruce it up? Is it time to change it? You really have to tap into yourself, tap into your energy, tap into your deity or whoever it is you're working with. Look at it. How does the energy feel? Does it feel stuck and stagnant in this corner? Does it feel stuck and stagnant all over? Does it feel totally fine? Does this one piece of rose quartz that you put up there feel like it doesn't really jive or fit anymore? Does it feel like the altar needs to be cleansed? Things need to be taken out, changed, rearranged, moved around? Is it time? Is it August and you're still holding on to your altar space from last fall with all the fall stuff set up from last year? All of those kinds of things. So, you know, don't be afraid to spruce it up. It doesn't have to stay the same. Like I said, this particular one for me, it's you know, it's my personal altar, so I don't think that's going to change so much. It may add some things to it, but as far as my other altars, they change. I listen to them. I put things in. I take things out. All of that. So if something doesn't feel like it belongs there anymore, listen to it. But don't feel like once you set up your altar, like you can't move it, you can't change it. It's that way forever. Because it's not the case. I always like to take pictures of my altar spaces, just because they're beautiful and I like the way I arrange them sometimes, and I just want to remember what they look like before I, you know, made it the way that it would be now. Okay, but the most important thing in terms of altar work and designing your altar and spending time at your altar, whatever it is that you're doing, is that it feels good, true, and authentic to you. If you're saying the Psalms because I mentioned the Psalms in this video and it feels weird and inauthentic and just don't do it. You know, these are just some suggestions, and I'm sure you all have some other great ideas of things that you could do at your altar space. If you do, please leave them in the comments below this video. Okay, but the most important thing is that it feels good to you, it resonates with you, it's personal to you, it reflects what you're trying to work on or who you're trying to work with, and it gives honor to any deities or ancestors that you work with. Your place, your sacred space, your altar is a place of respect and honor, so please treat it as such. You know, again, have that reverence that comes with having an altar space. It's your sacred space, so treat it sacredly. Alrighty, but I'm Arielle and this has been Maven Unmasked with your I Made an Altar, now what do I do with it video, how to work your altar and your altar space. If you'd like to book a reading with me, please check out my website, MavenUnmasked.com, under the Book of Readings tab. I also have an Etsy shop as well, and please be sure, if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit the like, share, or subscribe button, or leave a comment below. You can also find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all under the name Maven Unmasked. But thank you so much, lovelies, and I look forward to the next video. Enjoy rocking those altar spaces. Bye.